You're being hunted through the dense rainforests of Mesoamerica. Your heart pounds as you crash through the undergrowth, desperately trying to escape. Behind you, silent as death itself, moves a figure that defies everything you think you know. About human physical capability. You think you're fast because you can run a 6-minute mile. You think you're tough because you do CrossFit 5 times a week. You think your modern training gives you an edge over ancient warriors. You're about to discover just how catastrophically wrong you are. The Aztec Jaguar warrior pursuing you would close the distance between you so effortlessly that your modern athletic achievements would become meaningless in the span of heartbeats. Your confidence shattered like obsidian against stone. Let me paint you the real picture of what these warriors were capable of. Because everything you think you know about human physical limits is probably wrong. The Huachik, or Jaguar warriors, emerged around 1428 CE as the elite shock troops of the Aztec Empire. These weren't just soldiers, they were human predators, engineered through a training system so brutal and comprehensive that it would break most modern athletes before they completed the first month. From the moment an Aztec boy showed promise at age 7, he entered a world where physical excellence wasn't just encouraged, it was a matter of survival. At age 15, potential Jaguar warriors underwent the Teoali trials. This wasn't boot camp. This was systematic human optimization that lasted 3 years. They ran barefoot across volcanic rock for distances that would make modern ultra-marathoners weep. They carried stones weighing 60 pounds through mountain terrain for 8 hours without rest. They learned to move through jungle undergrowth, so silently that they could approach a deer within arm's reach without detection. The cardiovascular conditioning alone would humble any contemporary athlete. Studies of preserved Aztec skeletal remains show bone density measurements that exceed modern Olympic athletes by an average of 2.7 times. Their leg bones show stress markers, indicating they regularly performed explosive movements under load that would snap the tendons of today's strongest runners. The muscle attachment points on their femurs and tibias are so pronounced that sports scientists initially thought the remains belonged to a different human subspecies. Take Tlacaelel, a documented Jaguar warriors from 1479. Contemporary Spanish. Accounts describe this man covering 43 miles of mountainous terrain in a single day while carrying full battle gear weighing 90 pounds. He did this not as an extraordinary feat, but as routine patrol duty. Modern special forces operators, widely considered the peak of human conditioning, struggle to cover 25 miles in a day with comparable loads under similar conditions. But speed was only the beginning of their terrifying capabilities. These warriors possessed what can only be described as supernatural endurance. The Florentine Codex documents Jaguar warriors maintaining pursuit of enemies for up to 5 consecutive days without more than 2 hours of sleep per night. They sustained themselves on chia seeds, amaranth, and cacao preparations that provided sustained energy release. Modern sports nutrition is only beginning to understand. Archaeological evidence from Tenochtitlan reveals training weights carved from basalt that weigh between 80 and 120 pounds. These weren't for ceremonial purposes. Wear patterns show they were used daily. Young warriors carried these loads while performing agility drills through obstacle courses that included climbing vertical stone walls, leaping across gaps measuring 12 feet, and navigating mazes while maintaining sprinting pace. The respiratory capacity of these warriors defies modern understanding. Living and training at elevations exceeding 7,000 feet, they developed lung capacity and oxygen efficiency that gave them overwhelming advantages at lower altitudes. When Spanish conquistadors encountered Jaguar warriors at sea level, they reported that these men seemed to possess unlimited stamina, fighting with full intensity for hours, while Spanish soldiers collapsed from exhaustion within minutes. Everything you think you know about these warriors from movies and documentaries is wrong. The reality is far more terrifying than any Hollywood portrayal. They weren't noble savages with primitive weapons. They were apex predators who had turned human optimization into an exact science 1,500 years before modern sports medicine existed. Their weapons training began before dawn and continued past sunset. They mastered the makuahuitl, and obsidian-edged club that could decapitate a horse with a single blow. But more relevantly to your hypothetical chase, they carried atlatl dart throwers with an effective range of 150 yards and accuracy that allowed them to hit moving targets the size of a rabbit at 70 yards. While you're stumbling through the forest thinking you've gained distance, they're already positioning for throws that will drop you long before you realize you're in range. The psychological conditioning was equally devastating. Jaguar warriors underwent ritual ceremonies involving days of sensory deprivation, hallucinogenic substances, and pain tolerance trials that would be considered torture by modern standards. They emerged from these experiences with pain thresholds and stress responses that made them virtually immune to the panic and exhaustion that would overwhelm any contemporary person in a life or death chase. But here's what makes this truly terrifying for any modern person. Your entire approach to physical fitness is fundamentally flawed compared to their training methodology. You train in climate-controlled gyms with perfect nutrition, recovery protocols, and safety equipment. You've never experienced true physical hardship. Your body has never been pushed beyond the comfortable limits your mind sets for self-preservation. These warriors trained in environments where failure meant death. Not metaphorical death, actual death. They developed pain tolerance by having obsidian blades drawn across their skin in ceremonial scarification that doubled as conditioning. They built explosive power by hunting jaguars with nothing but wooden spears and cotton armor. Every aspect of their physical development was forged in situations where your modern mind would shut down from sheer terror. The mental toughness differential is equally staggering. While you check your heart rate monitor and worry about proper hydration, they learned to push through physical distress that would hospitalize most modern athletes. They could maintain peak physical performance while experiencing injuries, environmental stress, and psychological pressure that would cause contemporary humans to collapse into catatonic states. Your modern running technique, developed on flat surfaces with cushioned shoes, would become a liability in their domain. They moved across terrain with the efficiency of natural predators, placing each step with precision that wasted zero energy while maintaining silence that would make a hunting cat jealous. They could read ground conditions, anticipate obstacles, and adjust their movement patterns in real time using skills developed through decades of jungle navigation. The biomechanical analysis of their movement patterns, reconstructed from preserved footprints in volcanic ash, shows running efficiency that exceeds modern Olympic sprinters by margins that seem impossible. Their stride length, foot strike patterns, and energy transfer systems were optimized through training methods that treated the human body as a precision instrument rather than the recreational vehicle most modern people consider theirs to be. But the truly devastating technical specifications go beyond simple physical measurements. Their resting heart rate averaged between 38 and 42 beats per minute. Modern elite athletes consider 50 beats per minute exceptional. Their recovery times between explosive efforts were measured in seconds rather than minutes. They could transition from a dead sprint to complete stealth mode instantaneously, a capability that required neural pathway development impossible to achieve through conventional training. The weapons integration was seamlessly incorporated into their movement patterns. They could maintain full running speed while accurately throwing darts, wielding clubs, or drawing and firing arrows. This wasn't crude multitasking. This was weapons platform efficiency that turned their entire bodies into integrated combat systems. While you're focused on not tripping over roots, they're calculating trajectory angles for killing shots without breaking stride. Contemporary accounts describe their ability to run up near vertical cliff faces using hand and footholds that were invisible to European observers. They could leap across ravines that Spanish soldiers considered impassable. They moved through dense forest canopies like arboreal primates, covering ground by roots that never touched the forest floor. Your pursuit wouldn't be a simple ground-based chase. It would be a three-dimensional hunt where you're limited to stumbling along the forest floor while your predator moves through space with complete freedom. The environmental awareness these warriors possessed would make your attempts at evasion pathetically predictable. They could read broken twigs, disturbed leaves, and ground compression patterns to track your movement with accuracy that surpassed bloodhounds. They knew the forest so intimately that they could predict your route choices before you made them, positioning themselves for ambush while you blindly crashed through undergrowth, leaving a trail a child could follow. Their sensory development reached levels that modern humans have completely lost. They could distinguish between dozens of different bird calls, each one providing information about animal movement, weather changes, and human presence in their territory. They detected scent traces that would be imperceptible to your domesticated senses. They felt ground vibrations through their feet that told them your exact location, speed, and direction from distances exceeding 200 yards. The tactical intelligence behind their hunting methods would exploit every weakness your modern psychology presents. They understood that contemporary humans rely heavily on technology and become helpless when deprived of familiar tools. They would systematically eliminate your technological advantages, forcing you into direct physical competition where their superiority becomes absolute. Your GPS means nothing when you're moving too fast to check it. Your emergency beacon becomes useless when they drive you into terrain where signals cannot penetrate. The nutritional science they developed through centuries of optimization provided sustained energy that makes modern sports drinks look like candy water. Chia seed preparations could provide stable blood sugar for 12 hours of continuous physical activity. Amaranth and cacao combinations delivered protein synthesis that maintained muscle function under stress conditions that would cause modern athletes to experience complete system failure. Recovery protocols developed by Aztec warriors included techniques modern sports medicine is only beginning to understand. They used controlled breathing methods that could reduce lactate buildup by 70% compared to natural recovery. They employed pressure point manipulation that reset nervous system function between explosive efforts. They practiced movement, meditation, that allowed them to maintain peak performance while their conscious minds entered altered states that eliminated pain and fear responses. You wouldn't last 15 minutes against an Aztec Jaguar warrior in their domain. Not 15 minutes. Your superior technology, your modern training, your civilized advantages would become meaningless the moment you tried to match your soft, pampered physiology against a human being whose every cell was optimized for this exact scenario through training methods that would kill you during the first week. The gap between your capabilities and theirs isn't a matter of different fitness levels. It's the difference between a house cat and a mountain lion. You share the same basic anatomy, but they developed theirs into something that transcends normal human limitations, while you've allowed yours to atrophy into decorative adequacy. So, the next time you're feeling confident about your morning jog or your personal best marathon time, remember this: you're being chased through a jungle by a human being who represents the absolute peak of what our species can achieve when survival demands perfection. Your modern life has made you soft in ways you can't even comprehend, while they forged themselves into something that barely qualifies as the same species.